Welcome to Branding 7, Branding Bloopers and Blunders. And this is a really fun one. And yikes, some people have made tragic mistakes when it comes to branding. So let's dig in. The very first problem we run into is the focus group dilemma. And when I talk about branding, you always avoid focus groups. I'll give you one example. This is many years ago. They've fixed it since then. But in Washington State, they came up with this. This cost $500,000 to do. It was their sixth slogan in 10 years. You can't do that. Nobody's going to remember you. Brands last for generations. I mean, focus groups are never the way to build a brand. Creative services usually don't get it. They thought a brand was a logo and a slogan. Cute and clever rarely work. You know, I mean, say what? How many of you are thinking, say what? See what I mean? So they did concept ads like this. This is the sound of jaws dropping, you know, and so they went down this pathway. And what happened is the ad agency sold it to their focus group. So they got it. But when you put out in their public, we're all going to say, what? I mean, what does that make me want to go there? Even when they tried to sell all these co-op ads, all on the right, or co-op ads you could buy, nobody was buying them. So $500,000 later, it was gone. But guess what? The state of Washington eliminated their tourism division. Wow. Now they brought it back. And so just to give Washington its due, that's my home state, is they now done Experience the State of Wanderlust. They've done a much better job. But that was a lesson learned. You cannot do branding by public consent or focus groups. If you want to ask your public, what do you think of our brand? You're always going to hear somebody say, we have so much more than that. We really have something for everyone, and it will not work. You cannot do branding by public consent or focus groups. And go back to those first 4 videos in this series, and you'll see why. And that is so important to this. And then you build your brand on feasibility, not just local sentiment. Of all the ideas, which one can we put front and center that will give us accomplish our goals the fastest? Just like the birding near Brigham City, Utah, and making that about photography rather than birding, we would get a bigger audience year round and using the birding as your subject matter. See what I mean? Lesson number 2 we learned is avoid focus groups and permission branding, where you ask people, what do you think? You never, ever, ever, ever do that. Instead, what you say, here's our brand. Isn't this cool? You have to sell them on it, not ask for permission. The second in this is watering down your brand. We did this great brand, Janet and Michelle, that were in Devon, Alberta at the time, which is a suburb community, about 7,000 people near Edmonton, Alberta. They thought, we want to become Bike Town, Alberta. Nobody else had claimed that. They have 30 kilometers of paved biking trails. So this is street biking, not mountain biking. They got the city enthused. They went and did welcome to Bike Town as you drove into town. They went and trademarked the word spokesperson. How cool is that? You know, and it's all about branding, you know, spokesperson, all about biking. There was even a contest all the way across Canada. And guess what? Of all the towns, Devon won $25,000 to design and develop a bike park. And that bike park is amazing. And people started moving to Devon because of their biking culture. They did bike races. They have bike shops. I mean, this was people from Edmonton would take their street bikes out to Devon and ride their trails. They even named their trails. And when they did the tour of Alberta, which was in bigger cities like Calgary and Edmonton and Red Deer, they couldn't overlook Little Devon, which hosted stage 2 of that. You know, their ads look like this, grab life by the handlebars. You know, so these are the series. Everything they did was about biking. I love this one. Only a biker understands why a dog sticks his head out the window. But then they thought, you know what? Over time, Jan and Michelle moved on. The biking brand is still there. But they said, well, why don't we just shorten it? Why don't we just do grab life rather than grab life by the handlebars? Well, the problem is with grab life, I could do that anywhere. I mean, it did not differentiate them. So what happened is, looking for something to do today, I can look anywhere for something to do today. So grab life, they watered down the brand. And you know what? I don't even know if they're Biketown, Alberta anymore. And by the way, if you have to explain it, toss it. Grab life, I don't even know what that means. And so that's the problem. Never water down your brand. We all want to be all things to all people, but if you want to succeed, you can't. You can't do that. And then the third one is focusing on place before your brand, that one activity that sets you apart. If you saw a rack full of brochures and you saw that brochure, this is the top couple of inches, and which one of these brochures would you pick up? The one that says, welcome to Fredonia, or the one that says a picturesque Victorian village set among the vineyards? Well, guess what? It's the very same brochure. We put the brand at the top and the city down below, just like those ones I just showed you. As a matter of fact, we went in and grabbed a state Texas travel guide. This was several years ago, but I actually did this, and I could do this in every state, every province. And I took ads out of there. Like all of these ads you see. Now, all of these, notice they're all about cities, and so here's my question. Why would you visit any of these? And when you run ads in publications, you have 3 seconds to pull them in. So even Bandera, it's the cowboy capital of the world. They've got it, but it should be in big letters and Bandera in small letters at the bottom of the ad. See what I mean? You only have a few seconds. And by the way, most of these ads are so cluttered. There's so much going on because they're trying to sell everything. But you only have 3 seconds to pull somebody in. Does 3 seconds pull you into any of these? I could keep going. Look at all the stuff in this Brownsville ad, or this one here in Granbury, or Weatherford. I mean, we could keep going on and on and on and on. And what you have to understand is when you start running ads, whether they're digital ads or whether they're in print publications, look at there's so much going on besides just your ad. Like big city amenities, small town hospitality, I could probably name 500 towns in Texas that fit that. And so that's the challenge. So in their case, I actually took sample ads and redid them. In Abilene, we're trying to be all things to all people, always something new just for fun. So instead of doing that, focus on what really sets you apart. Where can you find where can you find white tigers like this? See what I mean? So transition to that one thing that makes you worth a special trip. This one here, and you're seeing it huge, but imagine this in a corner of a page or a bottom half of a page. Well, you know what? Now, how about that? That makes me want to go there. Fascinating, magical, jaw-dropping, beautiful. We don't even have to put their logo on there. Always promote that one thing. This, if I saw it in 2 seconds, you got my attention. So the 5 critical elements of a successful effort is, number 1, you've got to differentiate yourself. You have to be better or different. You have to evoke an emotional response. Like those show caves, I wanted to go, whoa, the second I saw that big, I said, I want to go there. And by the way, that's on my bucket list for this year. Tell people why we should visit. Don't just say, here's my city. Be sticky, memorable. Include experiences, the activities that deliver on the promise. Let me give you a good example. This is Sugarland, and you can go see a baseball game. They have a great downtown. And by the way, they also have the, Houston Museum of Natural Sciences. But I thought rather than try to be all things to all people, now I made this a little bit wider to get that T-Rex in there. Sweet Tooth is waiting. When will you be here? That would get my attention. And it promoted one thing, the Houston Museum of Natural Science, only in Sugarland. That's how you do this. And with all your ads, You should see them like this. Notice where the city is or the destination. It's at the bottom in every one of these. Always sell the experience, and then you'll find it in El Dorado. You'll find it in Galveston. You'll find it in Seguin. And by the way, when you go to brochure racks, when we see Qualicum Beach, I don't know where you're at. It's the name of a city. I see zip line tours. Now that's going to get my attention, but Cowichan, Snook Point, we're looking for experiences, not cities, states, counties, you name it. Does that make sense? Even in your photography, the experience in the foreground, the location in the background, experience in the foreground, location in the background. Even when we use the internet, we're not looking for cities. We'll type in best kayaking spots in central Georgia. Look, here's a few of our favorite places to go kayaking in Georgia. This is how we use the internet. We're not looking for your city or town. Top hiking trails in Nova Scotia. Best primary schools in North Dakota. Best wildlife viewing in Wyoming. Mountain biking near Calgary. This is how we use the internet. We don't put your location first. We put it last in our search. That brings us to lesson number 5. Search for your top activity, your brand. Does it show up on the first page of search results? Because 82% won't go past the first page. That's what you need to know. Lesson number 6. Focus on the top primary draw, that one activity that's either different or better, and clear the clutter. You have 3 to 4 seconds to pull people in. You can see more about these bloopers and blunders on the video in the vault called The 7 Deadly Sins of Destination Marketing. But now I want you to repeat after me. I want you to physically say these things right now. I'm going to say it, then you repeat after me. I promise to promote only what's truly unique. Go ahead. I promise to be different. Go ahead and say it. And finally, I promise not to repeat things other people say. And I mean that. Don't repeat what everybody else is doing. You have to do what works for you that makes you different. And the next in our series is Branding 8. The 3 branding case histories you've got to see.